I say that based on logic, first of all, why is it a movement? In order to, there are people who have engaged in those practices as far back as I can possibly remember. But it comes down to when you make a movement out of it, whom is the movement supposed to include? And if it's going to include white people with non-white people worldwide, and you haven't settled the race issue yet, and you are going to mix in something called homosex, who is doing this, and for what ultimate purpose? See, when people do things, they do things for purposes. And when they do it on a mass scale, you find out who is doing it and for what ultimate purpose. Just like I said a while ago in my statement, or in my question, rather, my long, elongated question about the supreme question about race and sex. Now, if you're going to have something called gay sex in that, along with all the other forms of sex, whatever that means and whatnot, and you're going to make a movement out of it, and you're going to consider racial elements in order to do what? Ultimately, in order to accomplish what? They say, well, in order for people to be individually happy, all right? But see, what individuals do may affect other individuals, even though that's even an argument. If what people do, if it's done in a certain way, it will not affect other people. But it involves at least one other person. If one person does something that involves another person, that is a social element right there. Because that's what society means. It means one person doing something that either directly or indirectly affects the thought, speech, and action of a second person, just one, even if it's just two people on earth. If they in any way come in contact with each other, that's a social element going on right there. And they're going to be doing something. They're going to have an effect on each other just by their presence. Just by their presence. Two people interacting. That gets into another word. When are people interacting? When they come in contact with each other. What do we mean by contact? Do you mean you're touching the person? And if you're touching the person, touching that person how? If you're putting a hand on your shoulder, and that even gets into what do we mean by gay? Exactly at what moment are you gay? What moment are you gay? When you're smiling? When you're laughing? When you're skipping down the street, turning flips? Or when you're doing something that specifies that you are gay. And what is that something? See, everything is in the details. The truth is always in the details, so you can't skip over details. Exactly what a person is doing or not doing when that person is saying, you might say that the person is happy. The person, happiness comes in moments. So what is the person doing at that exact moment that that person is happy? Because that is the equation for happiness. Happiness is no such thing as being happily ever after, consistently. That's a phrase, sounds great, but people are happy in moments, only moments. That moment comes, and then the minute it comes, it's gone again. And then it'll come again, maybe 3 seconds later, maybe 10 seconds, maybe 10 years, maybe 10 moments. But it comes in moments. And it's the same way with everything else in the universe. When people interact with each other, there's something going on there. So cause and effect. Everything in the universe is cause and effect. So when you say gay rights movement, and when you say homosexual acts, which people keep skipping past that, what exactly are you talking about? What act? Well, the act of getting married. Okay, what do you mean by married? And then when you get married, what do you do? Well, we live together. Well, you can say that about everybody on the planet. We share the planet. So are we all married? Everybody on the planet is married to each other? You can say that, depending on what? context, and it depends on what you are doing at the moment you are doing it. So we have to get into specifics.